Welcome to Level Up Tribes. Level Up Tribes provides resources to help you attain the necessary resources to level up your mind, body, and soul and realize your full potential. It is about exploring, learning, providing you with the tools from the experts for you to create a better version of yourself. I am your host, AgnesGoodwine, and welcome, Tribes. Hello, beloveds. Today I have Pamela Aloia. She's an energy healer and author who has focused the last 20 years on individual and collective energy healing. In 2003, she started Soul Angel, an energy center, and continues to provide insights and instruction for people to expand their consciousness, encourage and support self-discovery, and create enhanced life experiences. Today, we're going to be talking about her latest book, The Daily Cloak, which offers a unique, easy to apply spiritual essentials for creating a serene tapestry of clarity and protection for everyday living. Let's dive in.
Nice to see you.
It's nice to see you too. Thank you for this wonderful opportunity.
I love this topic. It's probably one of my favorite topics. And so I was really excited to read the book. It was absolutely amazing. But before I get too excited,
Okay.
I want to welcome you, Pamela, to Level Up Tribes podcast. Thank you so much for sharing space with me this morning.
Well, thank you very much. I'm honored to be here.
Before we touch on The Daily Cloak, your most recent book, I always like to start off with the story. Level Up Tribes is about leveling up your life. And so I'm always curious on how people get to where they are now. So can you share a little bit on how you found this amazing work or how it found you?
Yeah, I think it was a little of both, right? I believe that's how spirit works anyway. Kind of guide you, even if you're not paying attention, you'll be guided to where you need to be. My story starts, I suppose, about 20 years ago. I was having a number of physical issues and had been going through a couple of years, I'd say several years of different doctors and medications and things like that. And I started going down the avenue of looking at alternative medicines. The progress that I had with Western medicine was not as much as I would have liked. It was a bit minimal for my taste. So I started looking into different alternative medicines. And one of those that happened to work really well for me was energy work. Once I had some energy work done, I realized after a couple of weeks that about 75% of my issues were taken care of. They were alleviated. And once I realized that, I said, I need to learn as much as I can about energy work and share it with as many people as possible, because this is just another avenue that people can explore and benefit from. And once that started, once I became more involved in energy work, I started off with Reiki and then magnified healing and then integrative energy therapy, and then it just blew up from there. Whatever I was interested in, I went to go and learn about and expand. Along with daily meditation, I will say that the daily meditation has helped tremendously along the way. And once I had some more knowledge under my belt and I felt I could share it with others, I started as soon as I could. And I opened up a Soul Angel, which is an energy center, in 2003. And I've been providing individual sessions, energy sessions, meditations, workshops since then. And that's how I've ended up here.
Nice. I love it. So yes, let's talk about The Daily Cloak. It's a little book. It's 56 pages, but it's so much information and practices that you provide in the book. I absolutely love it. I learned a lot. And, you think you know everything, but you're like, wait a minute. I didn't know about this part. So I was really excited. So what inspired you to write the book?
Energetic clearing and protecting is a common topic when I'm working with individuals and groups. It's something some of us know a little bit about, some of us know nothing about, and some of us know a lot about, but we still don't do anything about it, because we don't think about it. It's not part of our routine.
Yeah.
And I felt it was important to write all this information down. But what really got me was this year, 2020. There was so much going on. And seeing that the need for energetic clearing personally, as well as energetic clearing globally, collectively, and protection, because there's so much deep emotion and opposing emotion that this really needed to get out quickly. And that's why it's short, it's concise, it's to the point, with the hopes that and the intent that people will be able to pick it up and start running with it right from the get-go.
Yes. I know for me, the past couple of months, I've been in this like roller coaster of emotion. You know, I'm okay one day, the next day I'm like in this, you know, fight or flight. So is this book mainly for those people that are just having a hard time?
Right. Yeah. And so this book is for those folks, and it's also for folks who have been doing this work for some time to either enhance what they currently do or help other people understand what they can do as well. I found that the people who are new to this book, again, hopefully gets to the point in terms of why we need to do it, what we need to do, and how we can do it. And it gives you so many options that, you know, there is no right or wrong way to do so. The important thing for at least me, and I guess everybody else too, is to focus on the fact that we do have responsibility for our own energy and our own state of being. Yes, we're going to get bombarded with external factors. We're going to get bombarded with our own internal emotions and viewpoints. Yeah. So we need to really understand what the difference is, where that boundary is, what's going on outside of us, what's going on inside of us, differentiating between the two, so we can work those both individually and then figure out how it is we want to bring ourselves to the world. What energy do we want to bring? How can we positively send a good ripple effect out once we figure that out for ourselves? And it will take time. It does take time.
Absolutely. You know, there's people out here that are empaths. And I think they are the ones that are being affected the most, especially if you don't know what an empath is. This book would help someone that doesn't really understand what energy work is.
Everything has energy. We're energetic beings. Our homes have energy. Our plants have energy. Our, you know, places we go have energy. So it's really the natural state of who we are. It's understanding ourselves from that standpoint. Our thoughts, our emotions have energy. Everybody else's thoughts and emotions have energy. Yes. So it's maneuvering those in addition to everything else we're trying to achieve.
Yes, absolutely. Is there a symbolism in the title of the Daily Cloak? Because when I read it, I automatically thought of Harry Potter and his cloak.
Yes. You're the second person that said that to me, and I love that because I love Harry Potter too. So you know, who doesn't? So the Daily Cloak, the cloak itself has a spiritual symbolism to it. It is symbolizes us creating a sacred space for us to do some inner transformation. And the dual piece of that is that the cloak also provides protection while we're doing that inner transformation. So I felt it was a really good symbol of what the book was entailing.
Beautiful. I want you to expand in regards to individuals that have a hard time believing energy work. Can you expand a little bit about people that are not familiar with this philosophy?
So there's actually two ways they kind of dovetail into two ways we can answer that. So first, we're all energy sensitive. We all have gone into a space where we've felt really great about it, and we've all gone into a space, restaurant, whatever it is, and we're like, not really feeling this vibe, right? So we're all energy sensitive to some degree. However, there are some of us who are a little more sensitive, as you had said, some are people who may be overwhelmed at this point because of all the energies that are coming our way and how sensitive we are. Yet there are people, as you say, who might not buy into that, might not completely believe it, understand it, whatever. Yeah. What I have found to be very important to do is to meet people where they are. Not everyone's going to be okay with it. Some people are like, you know, I might be interested, and you can see if that door's open a little bit, and you can plant a seed, or you can walk them through it. But if we're going to bombard them with them, if we're going to kind of, you know, overwhelm them with the information and the enthusiasm we have, that's going to be counterproductive. So I find it's really helpful to figure out, discern where they are, and then see where they want to go with it. Help them walk their path and respect where they are, even though it might not be anywhere near where you are.
That's so true. Thank you for saying that. Mm-hmm. So what are the benefits of being energetically clear and protected? What does that mean?
When we feel energetically clear, what my personal experience and those of others, the feedback that I've received from others is a lot of folks will feel less anxious. Yeah. A lot of folks will feel some of their physical symptoms go away.
Yes.
They feel more objective. So when things happen throughout the day, they aren't as reactive. They respond, they think about it, and they're less emotional. Some folks will say they've been able to employ new ways of being. So they're just, and their mental health kind of increases too. So it's been really neat. It's been a neat journey to hear what people have to say. And inevitably, if you stick with it long enough, what I have found and what others have said too is people start treating you differently because the energy you're giving off is different than what you have in the past. So they start responding to that energy, sometimes not even knowing. And they respond a little differently. I like to think and believe that we're kind of, if we're uplifting our energy, then everybody we touch, everybody we talk to, they're getting a little upliftment too, if we're working on ourselves.
Yes. And you touched on a little bit in the book about accountability of like your own energy, you know, and I think if you're, you know, like you said, kind of self-aware, you know, of what you're bringing to the table, you know, because not everything is outer, not everybody, you know, it could be you that's having this unbalance.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. Yeah. And that's why I think it's so important to be able to differentiate what's going on outside of you and what's going on inside of you. We have so much going on. We have our internal programming, things we learned from when we were younger, limiting patterns of thought and behavior that trigger our emotions and our sense of worth, our sense of judgment. So there's a lot that we do need to be responsible for. You know, if we're going to a family gathering, if we're going to a company meeting, are we bringing dread to that? Are we bringing joy to that? What are we bringing to help shift the energy of that meeting? You know, it's really important. Yes, there are going to be times, I'm not saying we have to be stoic and be very clear and centered all the time. There's going to be times where we're knocked off center because of emotions or things that are going outside of us. But we do have more control and more power when we are clear, centered, and we are responsible for our energy at any given moment.
Oh, God, I love that so much. What do you think people's personal responsibilities are as energetic beings to help protect others and the environment? And I think you just touched this with your last comment, is taking that accountability.
Absolutely. And that accountability starts with us first, right? So we can't really help out anybody else until we're really helping ourselves. And of course, that's going to go in steps. But we can certainly bring that up. One of my favorite examples is when I'm traveling, okay, not traveling much anymore, but you know, when you're going on a plane ride or on a train or even in a car, I will clear the car. I will clear the people who are traveling with me, and then send that clearing out to everyone who is either traveling alongside of me or on the roadways with me. And also putting up a bubble of protection around that train, that plane, that car. And even when I get to a place, so if I'm going to a hotel, I do this at my home all the time too, is clearing and protecting the hotel that I'm staying in, and sending that out. There is no limitation on how we can do this. You know, people will use it if their kids are learning to drive. They send clearing and protection around the car that they're driving. I mean, it's so fun to see and feel what people are experiencing when they do this.
I know. I was excited to read that part in the book because, like I told you before offline, I was more kind of like self-care for myself. But in the book, you talk about, doing the clearing when you travel in hotels. Never did I think about doing that in hotel rooms, which is something that I will implement, once we get out of this quarantine.
Right.
And also your house, how you protect your home and how you kind of picture visualize this light, around your home and protect your home. I'm like, I did that last night.
Oh, good for you.
So thank you for that too.
How did you feel?
It felt good, because, your home is your safe haven. Everything out there is so chaotic right now. When you come home, you want to feel safe. And so, I took your one of your methods and did it last night. So thank you.
Okay, awesome. Awesome. Yes. Glad to hear.
With COVID going on and everything kind of, I guess you can say, out of whack, how do you feel that energetic health relates to physical health? And can someone maintaining energetic health directly affect their physical health?
I believe that energetic health can be directly affected to physical health. I mean, my story alone attributes to that. with being able to alleviate a lot of my symptoms with energy work. I'm not a medical doctor, but I do believe and have had experience where if someone is in distress or discomfort and we apply energy work to them, that their symptoms can be alleviated or at least softened. I used to volunteer for hospice, and it was Reiki. I would go do Reiki on folks who were obviously wanted it. And I remember I was on my drive home from seeing this one particular woman. This woman was not a pleasure to go see. She couldn't speak, and she was very, very agitated. Every time you went to go see her, she would try to grab you, spit on you, whatever. So, we would do the Reiki from a safe distance, and then I'd leave, obviously. But one time I was coming home, and a nurse from hospice gave me a call and said, "Were you just here to see so-and-so?" And I said, yes, I was. And she says, "Well, she's been a pleasure to deal with. She is not as anxious. She is not as angry. I was able to bathe her and do everything I needed to. So can you please tell me the next time you're coming so I can, my visit is right after yours." So I thought that was wonderful confirmation. Now, it doesn't happen for everybody, but that was just wonderful for her, as well as the hospice crew to be able to do what they needed to do.
Yes. And, you've been doing this for 20 years, and I just started kind of, dabbing into this field. But, sometimes people that are that way, they're just hurting.
Yeah. Oh, sure.
And it's like, you kind of try to go down the layers and see what was that moment, like you mentioned earlier, that from childhood or a traumatic experience. And that's why they're so bitter. I always want to fix people.
Yeah.
Which is not a good thing all the time. But it's because, like, if I see someone that is just mean, I'm like, no, they're just hurting.
Yeah, right.
I need to figure out what's wrong with them, but, that's a whole different topic for another day. But
well, that also brings it to the responsibility, right? So how much of that is for you to help, but how much of that is for them to take advantage of? But sometimes people don't know that help is out there or that people are willing to do that until you make the first step. So it really is discerning that and bringing that energy so people can feel safe to talk about what really is underlying. I think that's one of the biggest issues with, I think we're getting a lot better with it. But when I first started, people just didn't have a safe place to talk about where they were with things mentally and emotionally. I think that I do feel that is getting better, but people need to know who they can go to for that sort of thing.
That is true.
Yeah.
So how is your center doing? Are you open?
Yes, I am open for individual sessions for folks who want to come. I've had a lot of folks who are very anxious to have in-person sessions. I have other folks who are, some about 50-50, but I still am doing most online meditations and workshops are all online for the most part. But for folks who want to come in locally, they do have that option. Yeah.
Awesome. How is the book doing? Because I know it just came out in June. Have you gotten feedback from?
Yeah, similar to what you said earlier. You had a very nice email that you sent about it. I loved how you phrased it. So it's been positive. I think a lot of people have been surprised at how much information is in the book and how quickly they can use the information, which is perfect because that's exactly what we wanted to do. That's really and I had one person say, I love that it's short and I can go back to it. If I forgot something, I can go back to it, or I can try one of the practices in the back with the step-by-step process and see what I can do there differently than what she had already done. So it's been positive feedback so far. And it's been wonderful because to me, I'm understanding, I know there's a lot of us out here who have this desire to uplift humanity, but there's a lot of us. And I'm just seeing them come out, based on the book and just wanting to either talk more about it, understand how they can use it more. And it's been so uplifting and inspiring.
I'm glad that you said that, because with everything going on, you watch social media and the news. So it's really good to hear that there are people out there that really do want to do some healing. Yeah,
for sure. But that's one of the things that, as you had said earlier, throughout the few months that we've been in this whole situation, I've had to do my own, where do I stand with this? Where do I stand with that? What do I want to bring? How can I shift, or first of all, know my truth? And then bring that truth to be beneficial to others. So it has been a bit of a roller coaster ride. It's important to consistently focus on the light because the more we focus on the light, the more we bring it forward. And I know it's difficult to do because we're not being shown that. We're being shown the exact opposite.
Yes.
But I really feel that so many of us are still focusing on the good, and that's going to be our goodness. Yeah.
Well, the Daily Cloak, I mean, it couldn't come in a better time. It has everything that you need, especially for this time, you know, clearing your home, clearing your space at work. There's a lot of, I don't know, questionable things going on. And I think this will ground people in a spiritual sense. I love this little book.
Well, thank you. Yes, and I agree with you. I think it will ground, and I love that you said the spiritual sense, because it brings us a little bit out of the earthiness, you know, even though we are still there, but it brings in the whole picture of our whole being and brings us into our hearts. You know, we're so much into our heads lately with everything that's being thrown at us, that this is intended to bring us to what is our intention. Yeah, we've got a thought of what our intention is, but what is our feeling? What is our heart telling us that we want to clear, how we want to be protected? Because that energy comes from our hearts, and that's how we really grow.
Yes, absolutely. Is there anything else that you would like to add or discuss that perhaps we didn't touch on today?
I think we touched upon it, that the heartfulness of the work that we do. And if everybody does just a little bit, I know some people will say, oh, I can't add another thing to do to my day on a daily basis. Right?
Yeah.
So that's okay. Do whatever works for you. You know, it could be 3 seconds, it could be 3 minutes, whatever it is that works for you in the schedule that you have. Because I believe if we continue to work and uplift each other, even if we're doing our own work that's helping other people, if we're protecting ourselves or other people, it's uplifting us one moment at a time. So the more of us that do this, the greater we're going to increase our own happiness and our own, I would say, equality of living and create the life that not only the lives that we want, but also create the world that we want to live in. You know, it's going to take time, one step at a time, but that's how it starts. I really believe that if we do more of this, we can do whatever we want. We can be unstoppable and live heartful lives.
Yes, 100%. How can listeners contact you if they would like to work with you?
My website is PamelaAloia.com, and I will spell that. It is PamelaAloia.com. I'm also on Facebook as Pamela Aloia Author, as well as LinkedIn, and I just started doing some Instagram. So.
Yeah. So many avenues, right?
I know, right?
Well, it was a pleasure talking with you. Before we kind of close the interview, you have other books too. Do you want to? There was one, The Rescuer Mindset.
Yes.
I'm a little curious about that one.
Okay. The Rescuer Mindset was written with the idea of mind, body, spirits collaboration, mostly geared towards the emergency professionals, so the first responders, but you can really apply any of those principles that are discussed in there with any industry. But the folks, so I co-authored that with my husband and a friend of ours who was he was a first responder and saw a lot of things that could be shifted with some attention. He did so much work on the studies of how the health of first responders is different than that of other industries, just because of the stress that they're under, the schedule they keep, and the things like that. He focused more on the mind part of things. And then Michael worked on the body part. Okay, so if you're having all these issues, how do you deal with your body? You know, exercise-wise, health-wise, eating-wise, what can you do in that regard? And then I focused on things from the spiritual standpoint. Okay. So bringing in the meditation, the breath work, being out in nature, things like that. So it was really, again, they really do apply for all walks of life, but it just so happened this was more focused for the first responders.
Okay. Well, thank you. Yeah, I love your website. So anyone that's listening, you know, make sure you go to her website. There's event information, interviews, and articles that you have done as well. I found some really interesting interviews that you've done with George Norrie. Yeah, exactly. Great. So check out this beautiful little book. It will change your life.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah, my pleasure. And I do just want to say you can get the book on Amazon or Barnes & Noble.
Yes.
So feel free. Thank you.
Thank you for listening. please visit the website at www.leveluptribes.com. And please subscribe to the podcast and share with your family and friends. Be sure to tune in to our next episode. Catch you all next time, my beloved tribes.